You ready? Yeah. All right. Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm my host, Jason Cavness. I'm also CEO and founder of Cavness HR. At Cavness HR, we provide HR to companies with 4,900 fewer people with an automated platform and also provide a dedicated HR business partner. For the next 2 months, we're doing our podcast live from Earth VC in Ho Chi Minh City, what I'm calling the Ho Chi Minh City edition. Earth VC is on a mission to unfuck the Earth. They're doing this by supporting breakthrough scientific research, empowering outlier founders to build enduring climate businesses, and by investing in high-growth startups that decarbonize the world. Earth VC empowers founders who are ambitious, breakthrough, and are committed. Earth VC invests in a pre-seed to Series A round. If you think you might be a match, reach out to them at rebuild@earth.vc. Our guest today is Jesse. Jesse, thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I always try to start off like a kind of softball question, right? So talk about some things you do for fun or hobbies.
For fun, on the top of my mind, karaoke is one thing. Recently, I am into animation series. So I've been watching a lot of animation. One of the latest work I have watched is the series called Arcane. Is a animation series based on the League of Legends game characters, and they have 2 seasons, and it's just wrapped up the last season, the final, the second one, and it's really good.
So you consider yourself like a gamer?
No, not really.
No.
Actually, my partner, he's big in gaming.
Okay.
And he's also a fan of anime. And before knowing him, I have almost zero interest in gaming and anime. But then I got to spend more time with him, and I tried to see the things that he's seeing, and yeah, a lot of amazing things from gaming and animation.
What kind of other animation series do you like or do you watch?
So the 2 that I really, really like, the first one is Arcane, is a game-based animation. I don't know if that's what they call it, but they build up a story based on games characters. And the second one is a anime that called Attack on Titan. Also very good.
And
it's a famous one.
How often do you do karaoke?
Karaoke, when I was younger, I would say once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Now that I'm more busy, my friend are more busy, we would do once every few months.
Oh, okay.
I went to college in Japan, and in Japan, the karaoke culture is a little bit different from here, and maybe from the States, in which they have the karaoke service provider places. They actually have overnight karaoke package for 6 hours straight, which is also the cheapest price. So we were students, college students, and we didn't have a lot of money, but we all love to sing and performing arts, and we usually host karaoke nights from 9-10 p.m. to 5-6 a.m. Yeah.
So is it better to do karaoke while you're sober or while you're kind of drunk?
I always did karaoke while I was sober. I took karaoke seriously.
Yeah.
So it was not like in here, people usually go hang out, drinking, and then karaoke.
Yeah.
But growing up, and when I was in Japan, and actually like playing sports is what we do to hang out together. And most of the time it was sober. It was still very fun.
Yeah. When was the last time you've been karaoke?
Last time would be a few months ago. I have a trip to Da Nang, and Hue is a business trip with my previous company, and I took the team to karaoke there. So I would say maybe around July.
And is it like a favorite style of music you try to do karaoke to, or like any?
No, we do everything.
Just whatever pops up is what you do.
Yeah. Usually I sing mostly everything, but then every now and then there'll be trendy music from reality shows, from the series, the popular artists. So yeah, it's a mixture of everything.
So I'm guessing you're pretty good at it then.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't
If
know.
you know you go to some karaoke bars that someone at karaoke, you're like, dude, like, please stop. Like, you just sound so horrible, right?
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't do that here. I actually never been to any karaoke bar.
Mhm.
It's always a private room
Okay.
with the group of people that you know.
All right.
Yeah.
And then how do you take care of yourself? Either like mentally, physically, spiritually?
Yeah. So personal care, the biggest thing would be, well, of course, diet. We home cook the majority of our meals. We don't eat at, we do not eat out every day. Before, when I do go to a 9 to 5 jobs, that I eat out, I think once or twice every day. But now that I spend most of the time at home, we home cook most of our meals. When we eat out, we also choose the cuisines and the restaurant carefully. So barely any junk food or fat foods. And then I personally have a personal trainer, a coach. So went to the gym twice every week. Actually, my gym day were Monday and Wednesday. So today I went to the gym. I came back. I took my lunch and then I came here. And then recently my partner, he picks up pickleball. So that's my newest
Yeah, so like pickleball is like really big over here.
yeah. So yesterday he showed me this app. I don't know who sponsored the app, but apparently we have the court booking app here, where it show the pickleball app, sorry, the pickleball courts, the tennis courses, and the badminton court. And apparently on the map is all pickleball. Very, very few tennis courts and badminton courts left. And they also let the member of the app go on, track their bookings, track the games results, to form up a small communities. So it's quite interesting.
And does having a coach actually help you?
Sorry?
Does having a personal trainer or coach actually help you think?
A lot,
Yeah.
tremendously. I has before I had not been a very active person in a sports sense. I sometimes go swimming, but that's it. I don't really exercise or have any favorite sport. And then I don't remember why I got into personal training, regular exercising, but it happened. And the moment I got the coach, the person helped me with the techniques of lifting and training. I do weight training. I don't do a lot of cardio. So the techniques is important, and then the motivation I think is the biggest part. Very funny. Last week I went on a trip with my friend to Muine, is a beach city, a quite popular one in here. And in the resort, we have a gym. So I went to a gym one morning and I did the same exercise that I usually do with my coach, with the same weight and the same frequency, which are the reps. And I found that normally I would be able to do 12 or 15 reps with my coach. But if I were by myself, I was struggling at rep number 8 or 9. But everything is the same. So I think the motivation, having someone there to oversee what you're doing, and that person has the professional expert from the personal trainer, it really gives you the comfort and the provide you a safe zone for you to really work out and feel motivated. And so it's really changed my health exercising habits. Yeah.
Yeah. And were you born and raised in Ho Chi Minh City?
I was born here, and I spent the first 18 years of my life in here, and then I went to Japan for college for 4.5 years, and then I came back here again.
So how did that work going to school for Japan? You got a scholarship to go there?
Yeah,
I'm guessing like everyone doesn't go to school in Japan.
I got a scholarship. Actually, my college, the representative, they came to my high school to promote for the undergrad program. And then I tried to apply for the school. Actually, do both the U.S. and Japan, but then Japan, the school in Japan provide me with a better scholarship.
And do you speak Japanese?
I used to speak quite okay
Okay,
Japanese. Now it's just conversational, I would say.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I work here in Japan, they really don't speak English, they speak Japanese, and if you don't speak Japanese, kind of hard to get by there.
Yeah, when I was there, not a lot of Japanese people communicate in English. Also their products and I remember their public transportation guidelines, their supermarkets, everything in public. They do not have a lot of English ready for you to, just function.
Do you ever go back to visit?
Yeah, so ever since I came back here, I went back once in 2018 on a business trip. And then we plan to go back to Japan again next year, somewhere around March or April for traveling.
So what's something about Ho Chi Minh City that you wish more people in the world knew about it?
Oh, sorry.
Like what's something about Ho Chi Minh City that you wish more people knew?
Ah, good questions.
You know, all those stereotypes out there, Vietnam's a communist country, there's like nothing going on here. And actually the opposite is true, right?
Ho Chi Minh City, I would say that it's actually very accessible in here. As in, well, to start with, there's two things in Ho Chi Minh City that I think are not too great. Number one is public transportation. We do not have subway or MRT.
That was very surprising to me when I found that out,
Yeah,
as big as the city is.
yeah. But they're picking up on that, the government. So we actually have the first metro in both Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi running already. But still is not great. However, it's super easy for you to get on any service car, Grab, or the similar services. The second thing that is not too great about Ho Chi Minh City is very far from nature. Like if you want to go to the beach, it would be an hour away. And it's not the best beach. If you really want a good beach, it should be 90 minutes away driving. The mountains are not next to you, so it's not really the best thing. But everything else is very accessible. Shopping, eating, any kind of services. So I never have any problem with finding what I want in here. Well, obviously, there are certain things that we don't have ready in here, but we can always order. So the reason why I thought of that a lot is when I was in Japan, that was 2013. Then I first came to Japan. And in here, the international brands are not very popular. We still have this thing called Han Sắc Tay in Vietnamese, which means the people they went to foreign country and they bought the goods of in foreign country and then they bring back here and resell it again. And it's always the source for most people to buy to go and buy high quality product. So when I was in Japan, it was always a FOMO when I'm coming back. I always try to squeeze a lot of stuff in my suitcase. And I try to ask everybody in my family, what do you want? You need anything from Japan? And even here, my parents, when they're overseas, they always, before they're coming back here, they always ask me, hey, do you want this and do you want that? I can go to the drugstores and buy everything for you. But it was actually not true because when I was in Japan, I was in the countryside. So the drugstore, they don't have a lot of stuff. It's not a big city that you always know of like Tokyo and Osaka. It's actually have a very limited selection of goods. So whenever I was about to come back to here, I always have to travel to really buy the things that I want to buy or pre-orders in advance a few weeks. And then I pack a very big suitcase and coming back to here. But when I am here, especially in the recent year where e-commerce is really thriving, you can order most everything online and everything you order in here are relatively cheaper than you can find in other countries, especially when it comes to personal care products, cosmetics, skincare, clothing, because we made a lot of them in here. And we have official stores of all the international brands. You can see the wave of international brand coming in here, Muji, Uniqlo, Nitori, from a lot of different aspects. So now when I'm traveling to other country, I really don't have that need to buy goods from other country back to here anymore. It's not as big. So in here, I feel like everything is quite affordable. The promotion, the sales are crazy. It's very accessible, whether it's in physical stores or it's something you can order online. So I feel very comfortable with, yeah, with that aspect of the city in here.
So I was here for 10 days in September. I've been here 3 weeks already. And I can you just tell like the vibes is so entrepreneurial, the startup system doing things. Has it always been like that in Vietnam? Has Vietnam always been like entrepreneurial and like a startup ecosystem, or is that something recent?
I think to me, if I compare to Japan, when I graduate, I have two choices to stay in Japan or to come back in here. Apparently at that point, I did not join a startup company. I joined the first two company that I've worked for were big company. The first one, Panasonic, and the second one is Anheuser-Busch InBev, the one that provide Budweiser, the biggest beer company. So they are huge. But I always know that the labor market in here and the job market in here is very dynamic, whereas a lot of startups, a lot of my friends, brothers and sister, the older brother and sister, they're talking about establishing their own company or joining a startup of someone else. So I always know that in here is very dynamic. Recently, I think in 2022, 2021, 2022, the peak of the last economic wave, you can see all I see on my feed, all I hear my friends talking about are VC and startups, tech VC and startups, and then e-commerce, and then crypto, so on and so forth. So I think it has always been a good place for entrepreneurs, business people to have new ideas and deliver the ideas every day. And recently, it has been clearer to me that it will be like that for a long while.
Can you talk about how you went from working in a corporate environment to going to the startup community?
Yeah. Okay. So my major in college was a social science. I major in media, culture, and society. So I actually did not study business. But it's tough to find a job with that major, especially I studied in Japan. And I study about differences between the Western media and the Japanese media in analysis, economical analysis kind of a major. So it's kind of quite hard to find a practical job when I first graduated college. So I came back here as a sales support role for Panasonic. They call it field sale or field marketing executive at that time, which in a lot of business model, you will call it trade marketing, which means I'll be at the point of sales to take care of all the storefront, all the product display, the capability of the promoters who at the stores. And so I use 100% in the first 1 or 2 years of my career. I use 100% of my common sense and very little of the knowledge or the technical skill that the business require. So it was a great blessing to be able to work into big company. They have taught me a lot about how a systemized large organization would operate and keep their business function. Then I moved to AB InBev through a talent program. It's called Global Management Trainee. And I joined them in 2019. And I, since then, only doing sales and commercial roles. I was in AB InBev when I decided to leave. I think it was 2 years. It was during COVID, and I was in charge of doing account management, which are sales for the modern trade channel, which we sell through the supermarket and the convenience stores. So there are three major channels in consumer goods and beers, which are the on-premise, which are the restaurant where the consumers, they actually use the product when they are there. And the traditional trade, which are the traditional conventional storefront. In here, you will see a lot where it's a small house, it's mostly local merchants where they establish a shop in there, or a small reseller to distribute the consumer goods in a area. And the final one is the modern trade, which are the supermarket, the convenience store, the more high-end grocery stores like Annam in here. So I was in charge of the big account, Saigon Coop. Saigon Coop is the biggest retail group at the time in Vietnam. Is partially owned by the government. And then the convenience stores chains in Ho Chi Minh City, including GS25, 7-Eleven, Circle K, and so on. So it was in the middle of COVID, and a lot of places has shut down. We have the centers, the centers, I don't know what it's called specifically, but it's the centers where they keep the people that got COVID inside the centers so they cannot infect other people, and it took care of those people in that centers. So Saigon Coop, because they were partially owned by the government, they were the one who are responsible to provide the food to those centers. So it was their priority, and everything they do from marketing to actual business operations to reinforce that responsibility of them. So they really scale down on the consumer goods that they don't think have a lot of demand at a time, including beers and alcohol. So it's a tough sell for a long while. And then they obviously sales slowed out, but it's not just my account, it's everybody. But it's got me really think about what I do, what I sell, and my learning curve at a company. I was actually prepared to get a promotion at the company, but it's a promotion in terms of seniority and the experience and the contribution you have in the organization. The responsibility of the job after the promotion were not too different from the job that I was doing at the time, even though it's a great promotion and I had a great team. So it's my learning curve at the time was also a little bit diminishing return. And then I thought a lot about what kind of value that I provide to the market and how much one person can influence, can contribute to make a difference in a big organization. And then I see it's very clear that if I stay in the company in the next 2 years, 3 years, it'll be good. It'll be stable. It'll be good. The pay will be adequate, but the learning curve will not be much, and the product that I will still be selling would still be the same. And the job that I do every day, the conversation that I'm gonna have every day would not be much different from what I'm having here, which get me all this thinking and reconsidering. At the same time, I try to put myself out to the labor market again to know what's happening out there. And there's this one company, is a new media company in Vietnam called Etc. And I talked to one of the guy there, and is the extreme opposite. Etc. at the time was very small. They only compete.
Aren't they like the one like the top media companies here now? I see them on the LinkedIn all the time.
They are the most popular because the nature of their work is.
I know they're doing a big time networking event in January.
Yeah, they have events all the time. So they're doing events, media production, and they also distribute their product. I think they're the most popular recently, they don't actually have a competitors here. Especially to the young people, they don't have a similar offer from anyone else, and they're also the first of their of what they're doing to really be that big and that many people know about them. So it was the extreme opposite, but they were very small when I joined them. They were seed round or pre-seed round, I don't really remember, but they were very small. And ABI, Budweiser, everybody know Budweiser.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when you were young, when you feel not sure about something, you would tend to try it out because you feel like you got to learn and you got to experience it. When you have more experience, it might be different. But at the time, I feel like I got to try this. I have to really see how the work is like. I don't want to be in my comfort zone. And I really don't know what it's gonna be like, but every day I went to work, it's 8 hours. Sometimes I work overtime at night to prepare for the next day. And I feel like I don't want to be in today and thinking about how the next day can be different. I prefer to go with the unknowns. It were more exciting at the time. And ever since then, I think it's 2021 or 2020, 2021, I don't really remember. I've been with a lot of startup company, yeah. But it started with that moment in COVID where my client said that, sorry, I don't have the demand for your product. It's nothing wrong with your product, but it because we have bigger priorities. It's really, and there's nothing wrong with beer. Beer is great. I do like a lot of their brands and Anheuser-Busch Bev, but it's really got you to think about the product that you're selling, what kind of value you want to provide, how you want to spend your time, your day. And those can be the questions when you're in a very systemized organization. You're in the mechanism where it works smoothly and everything is great and everything is expectable. You don't really think about it. You just kind of enjoy what you're doing. It's kind of relaxing in a sense. And then someone showed up and give you a reason to question why are you doing what you're doing, and you kind of want to have other options. Yeah. So that was the story.
So let me ask you this, and hopefully I ask this the right way. So Vietnam is kind of, it's like kind of conservative here, kind of traditional, right?
Sorry.
Like Vietnam's like kind of traditional, kind of conservative.
I when I was smaller, before I before I spent time in any other country, I thought so. I thought that everything is so conservative in here, so conventional. My parents tell me to not to do this, not to do that. Every time we want to do anything, we have to think about what other people think. And I thought it's tough to be the first. When I spend more time in other country, especially when I spend more time outside of Ho Chi Minh City, I don't think that's the case anymore.
Okay.
I think one thing I know for sure that Vietnam is constantly changing. The people are changing, as in not just there are more young people where they push for new ideology and perspective, but my parents, they're changing in their perception. The older people, they're more open-minded now than ever. There are definitely differences between every cities and every country. There will always be a part of the people that are conservative and a part of pushing for new ideas and experience. And I think that is the same thing in here. But now more than ever, I feel like I don't think our country is a conservative country anymore. Well, obviously there are certain things that is still challenging to do in here, but I think we have been moving in a good direction for a long time.
So when you first started out doing this great job, did you ever have a challenge of older guys saying, "What's this young lady doing here? Like, does it deserve to be here?" Like, how did you work your way through that?
Definitely, there want this very funny story. So before I was in charge of the Modern Trade channel, I used to have a few months working on the on-premise channel in another city, in a tier 2 city that is called Biên Hòa. It's right next to Ho Chi Minh City, but Ho Chi Minh is tier 1, that is tier 2. And the way that we work is that we would work very closely with the wholesaler, the distributor. Usually in one city, we're gonna have 1 or 2 tier 2 wholesaler, depending on the scale of that city. And those wholesaler will share with us or will guide us about the ecosystem of the store, the shops, and the smaller distributors in that city. So we can come to the store owner, the shop owner, and say, hey, we want to sell beer in your place. We already talked to the distributor. If you agree, beer will be sent to you right away. So it streamlined the process and everything. So when I first joined my team in Biên Hòa, in that city, I was only 23. And I was so far only worked in the office. So I wore what I work in the office to the place, to the field. And the one owner of the shop, he actually thought that I am the promoter, how would I describe it? So usually we have the promoter at the store who actually, when you go to a restaurant, there'll be someone wearing the uniform of that beer brand and try to sell you the beer and introduce to you the product. And he thought I was one of them, just because I don't look like anybody else, and just because I'm a girl, and just because I was very young. And he did not think that I was in charge of the wholesale team and will negotiate a contract and the business terms with him. So from the first moment, he did not took me seriously. And when I first talked to the wholesaler in tier 2 cities, when it further to Ho Chi Minh City, usually they are quite experienced and they're older, and most of the time they're male. So it's they keeping gates with new people. They don't want to go through the friction of, hey, I talk everything with the previous guy. You just go talk to him. I don't want to repeat myself anymore. And it were very hard for me in the first few months to really, in the first month, to really have a proper conversation with those people where they take me seriously and really understand what's going on.
And were you the only female in this group?
Yeah.
Okay.
At that time, my team, we have 3 guys that they are locals and they're based in the city, and I'm from Ho Chi Minh City, so I'm traveling back and forth from here to there. It was 20 kilometers away. I was riding my motorbike almost every day, back and forth. Yeah. So it was tough, but it's very interesting. There's interesting experience.
How you do this? Like, obviously, if there's a product you really believe in, like poses a drink, your drink tastes great, you really like it, I think it's easier to kind of sell it. But what about if there's a product out there like you really don't believe in, right? Like it doesn't taste good, but you still have to like promote it and stuff, right? Because it's your job, right? Talk about that.
I think for me, to me, a sales job is very important to, and I'm just talking about a job.
Mhm.
It's very important to know who's your stakeholder. Sometimes the person that really use your product is not your client. The person who is who will talk to you, actually not the one who used the product. For example, when I was selling beer, the consumers, not my client. I'm selling to the shop owners and the restaurant owners and the supermarket managers. So the consumer is not my client. So my client, they actually don't really ask about a product. They would care about how's your payment method would be like, how's your payables terms are like, how much inventory I have to hold, what is your payback or discount system. So those are their interest. Later on, when I was selling, for example, food, then my consumer is actually the one who, in CloudEats, my last company, the consumer actually use our product. So I really have to think, like you said, about the product, like why would they pick this product? What is the difference of this dish comparing to other dish that I can find in the market? But to going back to your story, I do think it's important for salespersons to understand the product and why the product exists together with other products and how the product complement each other. It's very important that you like the product that you sell in one way or another. Previously, I think in AB InBev, I was not particularly drink a lot of beer. I drink often, but not beer. But I do know lots of people that love to drink beer. My partner, he's drinking all kind of craft beer, and he loves that. So and then we see the value of beer is different from other alcohol in the way that it can also be refreshing, and it's very casual. You can drink it a little bit early on the day. It's okay. So those are the aspects of the product that might not really speak to you, but those are the values of the product that will work for some of your customers. So you really need to understand that and know who are your potential customers, and don't try to force it. Don't try to force the benefit of one product to every customer that you speak and you say. So I think it will always be tough. Even that doesn't matter how good your product is.
They scale up just a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your products are. There will always be customer who said that they don't want this, or they want something different, or they want something cheaper. So it's really important for you to find a good match and try to really understand how your product can help and like it in order to do a good sale.
So you're not a beer drinker. What do you like to drink?
Me?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
So I now I'm taking a little bit time off. I have planned next year from February. It's still in discussion, so I cannot not really share. But I think next year, February, I will go back to the market, the job market. And then I have started my own company. I want to build a furniture company. So I'm working on that at the same time. For now, I am spending most of my time in the two personal projects that I'm having. The first one is me and my partner were building a home together. So we're fixing up an apartment for us. And then I'm trying to get an apartment for my parents. So those are the things that I'm going to do from now till the end of Tet holiday. And then after that, I think I'm going to go back to work.
So is sales like if somebody was like sell that glass in your hand, also sell a purse, like it sells, as a concept of sales the same regardless of what the product is?
Sorry?
So sales like does it or does the product matter some?
Product matters.
Okay.
When I was younger, I've been on a lot of interview where people try to ask me to sell a pen, or people ask me to sell a beer. Actually, when I in the final interview round, the panel interview to AB InBev, the managing directors of Vietnam at the time, he asked me to sell one random beer bottle off the shelf that they used to decorate to another candidate. And I really didn't think about the techniques, and I'm just trying to open up a conversation with that person and try to get her to be open-minded to try the product. But I do think products matter. That's why there are good product and bad product on the market. And that's why the sustainable company always have the best of the quality. So I do think product matters. I do know that a lot of amazing products that fail to assess the market, that cannot really make it. For example, Tupperware, the product is amazing, but because it's too good, it took so long for people to come back to buy another one, and they keep it for a generation, the box that they're having, and they're having trouble. So yeah, I do think products matter.
What makes someone a great salesperson?
I think the first one, you have to really like to talk to people. And it's not for everybody. I am quite extrovert. Now I'm a little bit omnivert, where I can be introvert and extrovert usually at the same time, depends on the person and depends on the context. Before, I'm more extrovert. I really talk to people, so I never question why don't people want to talk to people? But it's not for everybody, now that I learned that. The second thing I think is that you cannot think that sales is scammy. I know that a lot of people think, they feel a little bit cringy.
Yeah, in the States, we call it the used car salesman syndrome.
Yeah. That you feel like you want to get an approval from another person's, or you want to have a validation from another person. It's like you're asking them for something. When in fact, I do know a lot of salespersons that really help me out. For example, we have this bank teller, a very close one to me and my partner. She worked near a place, and she can be like any other bank teller where you only meet them once. You don't even care. You don't even remember the name. And everybody behind the counter does the job just well. But this bank teller, she's nice. She's very sincere, very honest, and she really provides the good insight to which kind of accounts, which kind of cards that meet our demand, and she don't try to push for sale. She does ask for help when she needs to, but she's very honest about that. And she helped a great deal with our financials, accounts, and everything. So I don't feel like she asking anything from me. If anything, I should thank her, because it would took a lot of time and effort for me to get what I have if she does not come to me and tell me and provide me with her insights and knowledge. So the second thing would be, it's not like you're asking anything from anybody. I think is fair. It should be fair. You should provide good value. That's why I say products matter. If you're confident in your product, if you're confident in your understanding of the need of your customers, and if you really like them, then the match should work out. And it's a good thing for you and for your customers, for the market. So I think people and really try to provide good value and confidence about the value that you provide, will make a good salesperson.
How should a salesperson be paid? Should they be just paid like straight commission, a salary, a combination, or just depends on each job, I guess?
Personally, I think the healthy and sustainable scheme to reward a salesperson is a combination between a base salary and a commission, and not either one or of the two, because sometimes it can be tough. Sometimes you want to close deals, but it's tough, especially to some nature of the service or products. It's quite out of your control. For example, real estate. Sometimes people just buying house and not thinking about it. But sometimes it's really tough for them to move money, especially that much money. And if the income of you or your whole family depend on commission, and it's not great. So I think base salary is important. On the other hand, it's necessary to have a motivation system for the salesperson to try more. If everybody is paid out the same, then there's nobody, there's no reason for anyone to try a little bit harder in their cold calls, be nicer to their clients, and really go a step further in providing a good service and protecting the company image and brand. Yeah, so I think it should be the combination of both.
So what is your take on cold calling? Since you brought it up in the States, like half the people think cold calling is dead, other half think no, cold calling is still a viable factor in getting sales right. What's your take on cold calling? You know?
I think cold calling, to me personally, has not been very useful. However, there's some cases I still think that is not all too bad. And there's variation of cold call. There's emails, there's newsletters, there's certain thing. There's now there are LinkedIn. You can reach out to people on LinkedIn, and you put people in a more comfortable position to decline or see the conversation at their own pace. So you don't rush anybody to an answers. I think the thing with cold call that people really hate is that awkwardness where you have nothing to say to the person, or the salesperson try to really rush into the point without providing actual value, or you very likely caught your customer in a bad timing. I was always talking to someone, there's a calling guy, and even though that I have this light interest to know what they have to offer, I cannot proceed the conversation because I don't want to ruin my conversation with my friend. So I think cold calling is not the best tool that I think available out there, but the concept of outreaching the people that you don't know, try to share what you're doing and potentially cut their interest. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's different forms and approaches where you can still do that, but in a more effective way.
So let's suppose that you get a new job, and let's say you're the head of sales and you have 10 people working for you, right? But you had to come up with a training plan for these salespeople. How do you come up with a training plan for these salespeople?
Training plan for salespeople. I think the best self-training is actually talking to the client. You can provide as much knowledge about a product, about a company as much as you can, so the person feel comfortable and confident about the product. I think what very important to any sales people is to really see that the product they're selling is a good product. If they have that confidence, it's very easy. It's only hard when you feel like you have a hard sell, like you have to push for something, and everything will go downhill from there. But I would say spend a lot of time to explain to the salespersons what is the product, how does it work, why our company is so confident in the product, what is the after sales service looking like, what if problem happens, how do we take care of our clients, and the other techniques they can really develop and apply them when they actually talk to the clients.
And you starting a furniture company, you said?
Sorry?
You starting a furniture company?
I am working on the company, yeah.
So can you talk about that? Is like, are you going to have a furniture factory that makes furniture from the trees, or like resell it, or?
Ideally, I want it to be a end-to-end manufacturer company where we design the product, we make the product, we put it on sale, and we promote for the product. So it's not a retailer, it's not just the manufacturer, it's not OEM. So ideally is what I dream to do. And the toughest part to me is not manufacturing and actually design. What I really like about furniture in other country that I've been in are how easy you can order them and assemble them by yourself. It's very frictionless. IKEA, Muji, Nitori in Japan, they all provide quite reliable product and services. We don't have a similar solution in here. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way because a lot of furnitures are manufactured in here. We have good craftsmanship, we have good material, but we don't have the solution for the actual consumer users. So that's what I try to do. The reason why I decided to take it seriously is before when I shared with you that I am focused in doing my apartment in an apartment for my parent. That is one of my biggest challenge, finding the furniture that are somewhat reasonable in pricing, but still good and looks good, feels good, and functioning. The popular furniture stores in here, they either very expensive if they have a physical store and if you know about a brand name, or most people would try to custom made their furniture. They got the design from their architect and their interior designer, and then they go to a small manufacturer, craftsman in here, and they got is made for them. But until that product is done, and you will have to pay for that product no matter what. You cannot see it, you cannot touch the material, you cannot really feel it, and it's very uncomfortable experience. Especially it's about your home. It's one of the biggest purchase that one will have. Yeah, so that's why I want to do it.
So you're back in our startups, you also about doing the MVP first, right? So you can do an MVP, like maybe instead of doing like the living room, bedroom, kitchen, maybe just focus on bedrooms first.
I would focus on the desk, the workstation first.
Okay.
One of the early inspiration for me is that I have a lot of stuff in my previous office. I have a standing desk. I get that desk for myself, but the desk is super empty because I have to move up and down. So I have one big surface like this, and I have a lot of things that just exist on the surface of the desk. I have my laptop, my monitors, my coffee cup, my notebook, my pens holders, my books. Is a lot of things going on, and I spend so much time. And I thought in the back of my mind that I just go on Shopee on any e-commerce sites and get the organizing tools, the boxes, to keep all of them together. But it took me so long to find a good one like that. Either they're very gimmicky, they look a little bit plasticky. The photos, they don't really provide the actual photos of the product, but just the renders photo of the product. Or is suspiciously cheap, or is crazy expensive. Like Muji, they provide very good solution for such use case, but it's quite expensive. And it's okay for you to buy one or two, but what if you want to have the whole storage system for your workstation? That would be a lot of money, and they will all be hidden away inside of a closed door. So I feel like workstation has become more and more important, especially now that people spend a lot of time working at home. But we don't have a lot of solution. In here, the reliable solution are usually for the gamer and the streamer, and it's all RGB, and it's look very edgy and cyberpunky, and it's really not my thing. So yeah, I would start off with the office and a workstation.
And are you designing everything yourself, or are you gonna have someone else design it for you?
Actually, design is one of the biggest challenge that we have here. I think now that I'm doing the design myself, I study design and try to design the stuff myself, but I am still looking for design partner to help me, or to realize this dream together with me if they share the same value, but I'm still looking.
And so do you have to like do design different based on generation? Because like, are you gonna design the furniture for your place different from your parents' place?
Yeah, it will be different because the use case is very different. One thing that I realized when I do my house, when I get the expert to help me design the house, is their popular opinion is not actually something that I would want to do. I have very specific reference when it's come to the thing that I touch and use every day. And I think out of everything, a house should be your home, should be somewhere where you have the most control, and it should be how things should be how you want them to be in order for you to most feel comfortable in a place. So definitely my place and my parent place will be very different.
And so obviously I have no idea about the trees in Vietnam, but the furniture can be made like actual wood or like another substance.
So I have plastic and wood are the two materials that I think I would use a lot. And then metal, of course, for the structure support nature of metal. In here, my dad actually, he used to work in the wood industry. So he actually know the material quite well. He the quality assurance and quality controller for wood for very long time. And he have his network, and he has his expertise in the field, so he can support me with that. So for the wood material, though, you have the natural wood and you have these synthesized wood, the industrial human-made wood. And in here, very popular, you can try to get the synthesized wood material for a very affordable price, but definitely natural wood in nature will be more durable and have a character of their own. So it will be a more premium take on the furniture.
So how long have you been wanting to start this company? You've been thinking about it for a while, or since that recently came
I
out?
always want a company for my own since I know that people can own company. But specifically furniture.
Yeah, why furniture versus like your background in sales, e-commerce, consumer goods? I guess furniture is consumer goods.
A little bit of the backstory is that when I was a kid, we were staying with my grandfather and grandmother. From my mother's side, is a tiny place. It's a very small place, and I did not have my own room ever since. Now, only after graduating college, I came back here, but I lived by myself. I moved out. Then I have my private space. Before that, I don't have it. Even when I was in Japan, I shared a place with my friend. And we don't actually have a private room. My friend can still walk through my room to get out of my house.
Not the best, right?
Yeah, but yeah, college student, you kind of let it slide.
Yeah.
So I always dream about a home where is yours and you can do whatever you want with it, and you can decide the way that you want to, and all the doors are closed, there are proper walls, and then the color that you can choose. So I have always been thinking about that, and I always find it very fascinating when people talk about building houses and building a cozy net for themselves. Then I worked in a few industries, and I realized that I have the genuine reward when I have a creative challenge in my work. If I have to provide something creatively, then I got very happy to see the result. So that's reason number two, the creative reward from designing stuff and putting things together visually. The third thing is that I think the third thing when I think about doing my own company, what would be the good industry or what would be the good ideas? And actually, there's a lot of great ideas going on. Me and my partner and our friend, we talk about old people service, doing a place to support the senior citizens in their social life and their health care journey. We have a lot of tech idea as always, but I think furniture is what resonates with me the most, because in here, when we think about building house, we always associate it with a lifetime project, deep ingrained in the Vietnamese set of value sets. When you have a house, it's always a project of a lifetime. It would be very expensive, time consuming, and you will, in a good house, my parent always associate with having an expert to provide you all the knowledge or the guide. Otherwise, it would not work. But that's not necessarily the case. I knew a lot of people in other country, they DIY their house and it looks amazing. People in Japan build their house from the ground up, and it look great. And it's so accessible and affordable in other country. When I watch content creators and people building their house, they go to Home Depot to buy stuff, and they draw the thing themselves. They have the backyard to really cut out the wood and stick them all together. And it's very great. It's very homely. And I want to provide that experience for the people in here. Especially when I believe that we have a good material, we have good labor, and we have good craftsmanship. The creativity is there. So I really want to do it. It speaks a lot to me personally and professionally. So that's why furniture.
So here's a personal question for you. So where you at in your life right now professionally? Do you think you're like where you want to be at? Like you're behind schedule? Like, are you happy where you're at professionally right now? Do you think you're like behind your peers, or what you think?
It's very funny. I have always feeling like I am behind schedule until I'm not working anymore. I feel like I'm just right where I am. When I came back to Japan, one of the best thing is that I surround myself with many young, talented people from all the competition, the program, people studying abroad and coming back. They work for great company, McKinsey, BCGs, the investment fund. And I feel like they're living the time of their life with a lot of money, a lot of achievement. And I feel like I've always one step behind. There's always younger that is doing a better job in what I do. There's always that person that I knew that a few years ago still come to me to ask for advice, and now they're out there and they're becoming this important person of this important organization. So I always feel like I have to push myself harder and try more until CloudEats, and until now that I'm not working anymore. I feel like I am exactly where that I should be and I want to be at this moment. And I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I don't feel like I need to try harder. I don't feel like I have to prove to anybody anything anymore. Yeah.
So it's obvious to me like you're a very driven young lady, right? You're very motivated. You want to succeed in life. Why do you think that some people like you, like very driven, want to achieve things, and other people like just like y'all know, just like work 9 to 5 and go home, right?
Huh. Okay. So
Think it's genetics, just or you think that maybe the way your parents raised you, or why do you think you have drive versus other people don't?
I think it's a tough answer. It's a combination of a lot of things. And sometimes I forgot that there's different kind of people everywhere. One story that reminds me that some people, their set of values are completely different than mine. I was in one of the startup company, and I first joined that company for maybe 1-2 weeks. One morning at 7 a.m. that I opened up my phone and I saw an email that someone is very angry at me because I request to change something in the middle of the monthly cycle. It's a tech company. So it's hard for you to change things when you already set up all the campaign and you roll out a campaign to the customers. And I request that person to reconsider the structure of the program and potentially change it if possible. And that person replied on the email with my line manager in that email CC, very angry, saying that my suggestion will create a lot of frictions for the sales team. but actually that request coming from someone in the sales team. I was in the product team at that point, business development, they call it. And no one's changing things in the middle of the cycle. But the thing is that email was sent at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I received it 7 a.m. in the morning. And at first I was very, very angry. I was like, oh my God, first thing in the morning, I have to deal with this bullshit. But after 20 seconds, then I realized that, oh my God, he's sending me this email 6 a.m. in the morning. So which means he has to be up at 5. And if he start doing this at 6 a.m., and that person, I know he's hardworking, he always spend a lot of time, then he don't do much, anything else, except for being angry at me. And I don't feel angry anymore. The moment I realized that, I don't feel angry anymore. And I feel like, and I replied to that email in a civil way, and it said that I understand your frustration, but it's an actual concern from a sales team, not myself. And you can take your time to reconsider it and figure out the best way. You can validate everything I write in here and figure out the best way, because it's not my responsibility anyway. I just feel like you should do that. And I don't feel angry at all anymore. And I sometimes such incidents in life reminds you of the set of values that people have can be very different from yours. And I do know that a lot of people spend most their life doing the similar job, but they're very happy about it. They provide their family, they work honestly, they happy with the customers, they make the customer very happy, and they really enjoy a life like that. But I guess it's just not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, I can't remember if it's in your bio on LinkedIn, but it says, Jesse firmly believes that great people create great value. That individuals grow by consistently contributing to that value. Can you talk about that?
I am always a people person, and I know that very early on. I always have a lot of friends ever since I was a small girl. I always have a group of friends, big group of friends. When I was working, I always got along very well with my colleagues. And recently, I think in the last 2 years, I was put in the position of a manager, a team leader, where I have to take responsibility for other people's actions and work. And believe it or not, and I love it, but believe it or not, before I used to hate it so much. I used to want to be a solo player because I was very confident in what I do, the quality of my work. So I don't want to take up anybody else. I don't want to carry the weight of other people, and I would love to be solo player. But one of my previous manager, who is also my good friend and big brother, he told me 2 things. He told me that obviously, practically, if you want to move up in a company and you don't take a leadership role, it's impossible. Only very few expertise allow you to do that as solo player. For example, if you're an engineer or if you're creative directors, but not really, and especially not in commercial and sales. And the second thing is, one person, doesn't matter how good that person is always capped by the capability of one person, which is 24 days, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And if a person don't step up to transfer that knowledge and that skill set to other people, then at some point that person will fail to contribute more to the organization and the business. And I feel like everything he said is very true. And so I tried, but after he told me that, I tried because it's a logical thing to do. I still don't like it. But then I see my teammates, they become better people. They do their work better. They receive compliment from the colleagues, the client. They make the hard things more tolerable. in my company, a lot of people don't really enjoy me being in the meeting room with them because I usually being very critical, but they love my team because they're genuinely sincere and nice people. And so that really helped the organization move forward. And that is something bring me a lot of joy and pride. And it took me very, very long to realize. And before, when I was a single salesperson, I usually said to every interviewer or every boss that doesn't matter how tough the sale is, doesn't matter how hard it is to talk to the client, as long as the manager said that, hey, I understand, I got this. I know that you're trying. I know that the customers might not be the best person, might not be angels today, but keep up what you're doing. As long as I got recognitions from my manager, then I think it doesn't matter how tough the job is. And then I became the manager. And interestingly, my teammates, they actually come to me and tell me that it's okay. It's a tough situation and you did what you could and we see it. And we will try to do what we can to help you solve the problem. And it's really the other way around, and it's very heartwarming. And I see the genuine willpower to become better, to help other people, to really provide value from those people. And I think is the single most important reason why is keep me trying as hard in my job. Yeah.
So you kind of already answered this question, but in the past, how have you dealt with teammates or people in general, like who are not so great, right? Like they kind of like they never met the standard. They always like miss a sales quota. There's a challenge to work with, you know. Like
Um,
I always have problem deals with kind of people. That's one of my weaknesses, right?
I think no one's want to come to work or put themselves out there in any social situation and context and do a bad job. Genuinely, everybody would want to achieve good things or fulfill a job if they can. If a person really failed to do it, there usually a reason behind it. But if the person really intentionally slack off on a job, it happens. So there's two way where you can handle the situation where someone really try, but it could not deliver, especially in sale. Whether it's a product problem, are they confident about product? Whether it's a skill set problem where there's nothing wrong with the product, but they cannot have the good way to approach the customers, or whether it's the experience problem. For example, it's like stage fright. When you talk to your friend, you're very comfortable, very communicative. But when you talk to strangers, sometimes you just caught up and you got shied away from the conversation. And usually it's one of the three problem with the person who really try but cannot deliver. And I would try to help the person with either one or three. And if it doesn't work out, sometimes it does not. Sometimes the person try, but it took so much energy of them to talk to people and try to close the sale that at the end of the day, they got very tired from the job and they don't find joy in a job. And I would advise the person to do something else.
Okay. So your last job was you were head of commercial at CloudEats.
Yeah.
So like I have no idea what head of commercial means. Like what is that?
Okay. So to understand head of commercial CloudEats, then we need to understand the business model of a cloud kitchen. So cloud kitchen, CloudEats is basically perform like any other restaurant, except for that we don't sell we don't do dine. We only do online food delivery, which means we sell on the platform, specifically the e-commerce platform, Grab, GrabFood, Shopee Food. We used to have GoFood. We have BeFood. So those are our platform. And we have a lot of brand per location.
It's like different restaurants use a platform.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So for example, in one location, example, number one in I don't know, Apple Street. Usually you only have one coffee shop, but then we can have like 20 different restaurant register in one location because we don't do dine-in, we only do online. So we can maximize the overhead facility, the kitchen.
Before we move on, you're not with them anymore, right?
Yeah, we can create as many as we want, technically. But at a time we have 36 brand in Vietnam. We have 40 brand in Philippines, the headquarter per location, I think. So we provide food, we in the F&B industry, but we only sell online, and we have
what's F&B?
Food and beverage.
Food and beverage, okay.
And we have a lot of brands per location. So the job of the commercial team, I would say there's two major responsibility. The first responsibility would be creating the brands, which include what kind of product that you're gonna provide to the market. We need to share to the chef, the product development team, the R&D team, that which cuisines, which dish, which flavors, which price point that we think would be relevant to the market, so they can deep dive in creating the products and sell the product. So that's the first part, creating brands and products. The second part would be selling the product, in which we will work with the platform. So we don't directly talk to our customers. We only have our storefront on the platform. It's like when you go on Amazon and you see the shop on Amazon, they don't actually do everything themselves, but they talk to Amazon and say, hey, I want to sell product through you, and Amazon would help them with setting up the store in there, listing the product in there, doing the promotion in there, the commission that's going to Amazon. So that the second path is working with the platform, the providers, our partner, to distribute and sell our product. So that's two jobs. So there's no direct sales going on when I was in charge of commercial team in CloudEats, but everything we do is to sell our product and sell our product in the most efficient way.
And how does the business model work? Like, you get a percentage of each food sale, or like the restaurants pay a monthly fee to be on the platform?
The cost structure that would be for the commercial side, that we would have to pay the platform a fixed in percentile commission fee every order that we send out. For example, we sell one order including shipping for excluding shipping for 100K, we'll have to pay the platform 25K as commission fee. The second cost would be the cost of doing promotion to the customers, which is discount. For example, usually the dish is listed at 100K, but we do 20K discount, so the customer can buy them at 80K. So that's the second fee. The third fee would be the marketing fee, which are buying the advertisement, the keyword search, the banners, getting people to getting traffic to your store, so on and so forth. So those three combined is tech rate. And that worked the same way in e-commerce and in food delivery. For the whole business model, you will have other costs, including the cost of the product, the cost of goods sold, the food cost, the packaging cost, the cost where you run the whole kitchen, the renting, the facility, the labor into it, and then you have the cost for you to sponsor the office team to run the business.
So did this ever happen? Like, suppose there's a restaurant on your platform, right? this restaurant gets a lot of bad reviews, like people don't use it no more. Do you like, okay, you got all these bad reviews, you get kicked off the platform?
In some extreme cases, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you violate a certain platform. They have this thing called a code of conduct for the merchants or the seller. So the seller, they call them merchants, and they have all set of guideline. How should you behave? What kind of product quality you need to ensure? How should you solve the problem if
So
the
it's a pretty rigorous process to even get on your platform.
yeah, it is a lot. And then they also strictly monitor your customer service level.
Okay. And CloudEats, they just raised like a $7 million round recently too, right?
I think more than that, but yeah, they published $7 million Series A, and they try to close Series B, but in between they do raise more fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
From your point of view, why should someone work at a startup? Or maybe the question should be, why should someone not work at a startup?
I think there's pros and cons in working in a startup and not working in a startup. My team asked me that question a lot. I think first of all, the pros of working at a startup is that it's fun. It's very fun. Everybody is open-minded. The sky almost this yeah, almost the sky's your limits. Then you can try out new ideas very fast. You can directly go to your manager or your CEO and say, hey, I have this crazy idea, and I have all of this evidence that um, that that prove that it might work, and you want to try out. It's very possible in all of the startup that I've been with. I see people do that all the time, and we have a great fun experience. Although the second pros of working in a startup is especially if you're in managerial position, is very real. Before, when I work in a big company, when things got tough, I always get to my boss, my manager, to find the answers, to ask for advice and help. Um, and it's like going back to your big parent and say, hey, this happened. I don't know what to do. What do you think? And most of the time they would have the answer, because in a big organization, they have a lot of experience. In a startup, on the other hand, I am a important part of problem solving, mostly because because I am the closest to the market, and I talk to the partners most often. So most of the time, people would actually come to me to ask for my opinion on how to solve problem, or we together will discuss, weigh the pros and cons of all options to solve problem. So I feel like definitely one can make a bigger influence in a startup simply because it's a smaller business, it's a smaller organization. The cons of working in a startup is not a lot of money. If they give you a lot of money, then there's something wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah, very wrong.
And you should
That's an
really,
indicator, red flag right there.
yeah. So it's tough. We're working long hour, even for the young people, where the pay is very conservative. Um, Almost every week we have overtime, and um, there's other benefits of the big company that you would not find in a smaller startup. In CloudEats, I really appreciate the HR team that they really try to provide a comprehensive working experience where we have the private health insurance. Every big holiday, we have engagement activities, but you would never find, or very rarely find, a amazing big team building events where you will have a 3-day 2-night getaway in a resort, a 4-star 5-star resort, or you will never have like an annual Christmas dinner in a 5 stars hotel. or you would not have any celebrity come sing at your company in a company birthday. Um, I, I remember the first office that I joined, CloudEats, we don't even have the parking lot for ourselves. And the first office of etc. is also does not have the parking lot for ourselves. We actually have to park our bike outside of the building in a public parking lot. And coming from Panasonic, where every sales member, we have this taxi sponsorship from the company to go on a field trip, I was in shock. We don't have the company cannot provide you the laptop, you using your own personal laptop. So definitely is a humble experience. And the next cons of startup, and I think a lot of people talk about it, is everything is quite chaotic, and it changed. A lot of people doing startup interview, recruitment interview, they would say that we change every week, we change every day. Are you sure this is something that you are okay with? And actually changing every week and every day, because
some people
everything
can't deal
moves
with that.
too fast. It can be frustrating. It can be very tiring, which is true. But that's the nature of the startup. So who should join a startup and who should stay with the big company? I think you can properly tell. Having the I always have this hunger to learn and experience, and I really want to join new thing, and I love that feeling when you get things done and you celebrate a small wins. So I have a lot of joy from working for a fast-paced small team. Also is it really put my stress management under the test. The anxieties can be very, very real. Like sometimes with a startup, especially the startup that is still burning cash, sometimes going sideways is very stressful. You always have to going up. Numbers, top line, bottom line, always almost most of the time expect to go up. So it's a real roller coaster. And it can got into your personal life if you take the job seriously. Yeah. On a big company, you also do learn a lot in a much controlled pace. And you will have a chance to see like great people in action. Like sometimes that person that you read a lot about him on the newspaper, that he's been with the company for 10 years, 20 years, and he's this guy with his amazing good strategy. And you can actually see that person in action, hear the person sharing about his work. Then if you're lucky, you're in the same meeting room with that person. And it can be also a very great experience.
So let me ask you this. Let's suppose you could go back in time and talk to your younger self. Pick any age, like pick 4 years old, 8, 12, whatever age you want. What would you tell your younger self?
I think one thing that I really learned in a recent year is that if you do every small thing right to yourself and what you believe, then eventually it will bring you to on the right path, in the right direction. When I was younger, it's very confusing. I study, I in Vietnam, we have this thing called specialize in one subject, and I have always specialized in math for 12 years before I went to Japan, and I decided to go 180 degree to social science, nothing to do with math. And then I go back from social science to business. So I was very confusing. I don't know why um, or what would be my calling. Now I don't think about my calling anymore. I just think about every action, every decision that I do. Is it right to this, to who I am, to what I believed in? Is it providing good? Is this for the good cause? Is it providing good value? Is it make me happy? Is it make other people happy? Can I help anybody with it? And I go ahead with the decision. And if I can go back and tell myself, my very confusing self, at any point in time, that never do things out of pressure from whatever you're seeing or perceiving from life, but always do the thing that you believe that is right, and that you know that you want to do and can provide good value. And then eventually you will feel good, and you will feel good about where you are and the path that you're on. And you don't have to really worried about what if when you make those decisions.
And for yourself, like looking forward 5 or 10 years, what do you want to be at 5 or 10 years from now, either professionally or personally?
5, 10 years. I think my company, first of all, that I would see it pick up in a clearer form, shapes, having clients, obviously, maybe having the first showroom where people can really go there and see and touch my product and hang out with me and talk to me. That's first thing. Second thing would be, I hope that I can provide more value for not myself, not just my family, but other people too. I think my my parents, they are loved by a lot of people. A lot of people want to hang out with them because they really took care of the person around them. My in-laws, they they do a lot of good deeds for their hometown. Um, the 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 area that they live in and the people around them, and they try their best to take care of other people, not just the people that they care about, but also strangers. And those four are the people that are most carefree and most happy that I ever know of. So I think maybe in the future, if possible, I can also really provide value that exceeds my family, myself, my circle of friends, of the people I care about, but to society, to everybody. That's what I want to do.
So right now we're doing this podcast at Earth Venture. So Earth Venture, they invest like climate tech startups. So we're big on climate, right? So based on the fact your company's gonna be cutting down trees, right? How are you gonna like offset cutting down trees? Like how you can make sure your company stays like climate positive, so to speak, right?
Mm, I think furniture, wood furniture, I think cutting down tree, you cannot really reverse on that, and is an important process in building not just furniture but society, infrastructures, and everything. But by actually providing the product that can really last and stay for a long while, generation after generation, that becoming even better in time, is one way that you can really help the environment and protect the value of the furniture. There are certain pieces of furniture that I know that last in the family for generation, and some of them even become the collectibles with great value. And definitely that is one thing that worth striving for. And the second thing is the consumption behavior is one thing that I also want to address specifically. I don't know what are the best solution for them, but I think in terms of waste, is not only that we is not coming from just the material, but also the numbers of stuffs and the possession that you have. If you're buying a lot of things, then the company will have incentive to cutting down more trees to make packaging and furnitures. So I think really by providing a long-lasting and timeless pieces of furniture, making your home a comfortable and beautiful place, also incentivize people and navigate people towards a lifestyle where they don't really have to consume a lot of products or changing their product once every while to really help the environment that we live in the nature.
So for your company, your furniture company, is there something that you haven't figured out yet, or something like you're kind of concerned about?
I'm not really concerned about that. I know there's demand, but I'm just trying to figure out which is the best approach or the first steps to take.
And you're doing this full time, right? Like you don't have another job, just doing the furniture company full time.
I'm still in discussions with a few partners about that. Is a little bit too soon to share, but definitely is the one of my priority. Yeah.
And are you gonna try to bootstrap everything and pay for it yourself? You're gonna have to raise money for this.
We'll see
Okay.
how it goes. Like I'm not keen on at this moment. I don't know how much money is gonna take for the first few years. I will start off with the money that I have, and from my close circle of trustees. But at some point, maybe funding would,
Okay.
yeah,
And you're gonna have to have like a factory to make everything right.
yeah,
Do you have like a place picked out yet for that, or that's like that's in the future?
that's in the future.
Okay, all right. Jesse, is there anything else that I asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
Mm, why you come to Vietnam and do this series? Why Vietnam?
Well, I'm here for him and his wife getting remarried, some of their weddings. That's part of
Oh,
it. Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah. And Bruce, he's getting married February 6th. I was gonna come like January 20th. He said, Jason, like you already know these people in Vietnam, just bring all your stuff and do a podcast here. And plus, I'm trying like have a tech company, so I'm trying to find developers over here. Like when I came in September, it's like a party trip and tourism. Now it's like more business, right? If that
Oh,
makes any sense, yeah.
so you mentioned the tech company and is it the same or different from the Cavness HR?
It's the same, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So then I see that you have been in human resource vertical for very, very
Yeah.
long time. So what are the lesson that you find?
So the number one lesson is like I can tell people like HR is not hard, right? Just like if you're like the boss man, whatever you are, be that to your people you want your boss to be to you, right? But no one does that, right? Like no one does it. Like if you just be the boss to your people, you want your boss to be to you. I mean that's as simple as that, right? But people don't do it. It's not rocket science. Just treat people nice. Like you said earlier, no one goes to work in the morning trying to fuck shit up, right?
Yeah.
It's they get to yeah, it's not set up for success. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
all that I
Yeah.
want to ask.
So another question before we get out of here. I've been asking everyone this, right? So I'm here to February 10th, and I did all the tourist stuff last September. Like I did all the tourist stuff, What's something I should do while I'm here this time?
Ho Chi Minh City?
Yeah,
So you did all the tourist thing?
pretty much, yeah.
Mm. Hmm. I would say, no. Well, interesting. What if I have a family member who stay here for a long time? What would I actually recommend? I think maybe you can try to all the very local experiences. You can maybe learn how to make Vietnamese food. Have you go to our traditional market and try to shop there?
Yeah.
Not the tourist traditional market,
No,
but the
okay.
traditional market.
No, that I haven't.
Yeah.
No.
So one of the very Vietnamese experience is that you go to the market and you spend the morning there. The traditional market is a wet market. And I don't know now if they do Momo or any cashless payment, but usually you need to have cash with you. And then you go there and you pick the fresh produce and you try to bargain for the price. They don't have price tag ready.
Yeah,
in
I
there.
suck at that. I suck at haggling.
And then some market, they have the food session inside of the market. and you can try to, you can try to like spend a whole morning
Okay,
in the market.
nice.
Mm.
Hey, can you give us your social media or ways for people to reach out to you?
LinkedIn and
LinkedIn.
Facebook, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then you gave us a lot of good advice on a lot of stuff, but can you give us any last minute advice on anything you want to talk about?
Hmm. In your coming podcast episodes in here. Let me think. Ah, I think um, I think one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is that the younger workforce and what will motivate them and what will keep them um, happy in a job. So recently, in the recent years, people talk a lot about how the Gen Z or the younger people, they have different evaluation on how much important the 9 to 5 job is to them, and what are the boundary that they draw with their employer. And then in my previous team, everybody is Gen Z, but they're very hardworking. And I can see that deep down inside, with all the difference that everybody generation have and all the different that they have that we all talk about, they honestly and genuinely want to become better and hard workers. But it is true that they need to have their own source of motivation, and they need to rationalize why they do what they do in order for them to really be fulfilled within a job. So maybe that's a interesting topic for you to explore, especially you're in HR. How is the talent retention strategy has shifted in the recent years, and what would be the futures of uh, keeping people in the company and providing a good working experience, how it's different from what we have already know.
Yeah, Jesse, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank
A lot
you.
of fun. And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. And remember to be great every day.